Hi guys! So today I'm going to read aloud a story to you. There's no pictures, but it's National Poetry Month, and I wanted to read you a story about the power of poetry. It's written by a guy named Ralph Fletcher, and it comes in a book that I have in my classroom for teaching poetry. But this is such a great story. Okay, so one year I came home from college to spend Christmas with my family, and I was flat broke. I'd gotten used to being a poor college student, but this year I didn't want to be broke for Christmas. I was tired of buying junky gifts for my parents and my brothers and sisters. This year I wanted to have enough money to buy some nice presents. So I got a job washing dishes at a local seafood restaurant, stacking trays of dirty dishes and hauling the clean dishes away when they emerged from the dishwashing machine. It was hot, sweaty work, but on Christmas Eve, the manager handed me 5 crisp $20 bills. So I hurried out to do my shopping. There was a shopping center close to my house. So I was walking across the parking lot when I was startled to see my grandfather. He was leaning over a container of trash, picking through it. "Grandpa?" I said. But when I took a step closer, I could see that even though the man was tall and thin and bald, he wasn't my grandfather. This ragged man had a ripped coat. He looked cold, and all I could imagine was my grandfather pawing through the trash, looking for something to eat on Christmas Eve. So I walked up to him and pressed the 5 $20 bills into his cold hand. "Merry Christmas," I mumbled. "Thank you, son," the man stammered, looking at the money. I wanted to tell him to use the money to buy himself a new coat, but somehow the words couldn't come out. I just turned around and I started walking home. "Merry Christmas," the man yelled. "Oh, Merry Christmas," I said, waving. And when I walked away, it felt good. But then that good feeling lasted for only about a minute because my wallet was now empty. I didn't have any money to buy any presents for my family. So it seemed pointless now to go shopping after that, so I walked home. But on the way home, I got the seed of an idea. I went straight to my room, I took out some paper, and I started to write. My brainstorm was to write a poem for each member of my family. I started with one of my little sisters. She liked horses, so I wrote her a poem about a horse galloping on the beach. It took me about a half an hour to write that poem. And when it was finished, I decided, it really wasn't all that bad. One of my brothers wanted to be an astronaut, so I wrote him a poem about outer space. After a while, my mom called me down to join everybody hanging the stockings from the mantle. And when we were finished, I went right back upstairs to work. By 10 o'clock, I had done 4 poems, but I had 8 brothers and sisters. My eyes, started to get tired. It was hard work. Talk about writing under a deadline, But it was fun trying to think about what each person would want for his or her poem. And I wrote, and by 11 o'clock, my eyes were blurry, but the poems were done. I went downstairs to the basement. Someone had given my dad a box of old paper. I knew he wouldn't mind if I took some sheets out. I copied each one of the poems onto a piece of paper, trying to keep all the letters neat and not making any spelling mistakes. When I finished copying a poem, I rolled it up and I tied a nice little red ribbon around the middle. It was almost 1 a.m. when I went downstairs and I tucked each scrolled poem in a stocking, in the stockings hanging from the fireplace. Finally, I could drag myself back upstairs and go to bed. Early the next morning, I felt someone tugging on the collar of my pajamas. When I wrenched open my eyes, I saw my 3-year-old sister Carolyn standing by my bed. She was holding her Christmas stocking, all lumpy with presents, and I could see my scrolled poem sticking out of the top. "Listen," she said in an excited voice. Gently, she scrunched her stocking until I could hear the paper crinkling. "There's something magic in there," she said, nodding her little head and looking straight up at me. "There's poetry in there." So that's my story for today. So I wanted to tell you guys that we're going to be, studying some poetry over the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to teach you some of the things that I really love. And hopefully you'll be able to write some really lovely poetry for your friends and for your family. Okay. Love you guys.